Introducing the 770 and 772, the newest off-highway trucks from Caterpillar. With more reliability, more performance, more comfort, and easier to operate. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the basics of how to safely operate the 770 and 772 off-highway trucks. The first step before starting any machine is to read and understand the safety and operating information in the Operation and Maintenance Manual. Before you operate any Caterpillar off-highway truck, take a few minutes to review your job or mine site. Know your job's safety rules and recognize potential hazards such as converging traffic, narrow spots in the haul road, wet haul road conditions, overhead and buried power lines, sharp curves, ground personnel, and smaller vehicles. Once you've reviewed the OMM and undergone the necessary site training, you're ready to begin. Make sure you're wearing the proper safety equipment, including hard hat, ear protection, safety shoes, and safety glasses. You should perform a walk-around inspection of the machine before starting the engine. This helps to develop a routine. For example, the left front tire to the rear tire, around the rear and up the right side, finishing with the front of the vehicle. You need to become familiar with the meaning and location of safety signs in the machine. Inspect the tires for proper inflation and wear. Make sure all protective guards and covers are secured in place. Inspect hoses, tubes, lines, and hydraulic cylinders for leaks or wear. Check the oil level sight gauge of the hoist and brake tank. The hydraulic filler caps must be cool to the touch and removed only after the engine has stopped if filling is required. Inspect the chassis and the dump body. Check the grease zerks and grease as required. If the 770-772 is equipped with clustered lube or automatic lube system, make sure lines are not broken or crimped. Check the fuel tank for leaks. Check the dust valves on the air filter. Clean and adjust all mirrors. Check front work lights. Check the coolant level in the radiator. Check the level of the engine and transmission oil, located on the operator's platform left side. Check the oil level sight gauge of the steering tank, located behind the cab. Now, you're ready to get into the cab and conduct your in-seat operator's check. Mount and dismount the machine only at locations that have steps and/or handholds, and always face the machine when climbing on or off. As you enter the machine cab, secure all loose items like lunch boxes, tools, and other items that are not part of the cab equipment. Adjust your seat for comfort and operating convenience. To move the back of the seat to the desired position, pull up the seat recline lever. When the back is positioned properly, release the lever to lock it into place. By pulling up the fore and aft lever, you can move the seat forward or back to the desired position. Upward and downward seat movement is also simple. Push in the knob to go up and pull out to move down. To increase the lumbar support, turn the lumbar support lever counterclockwise. Turning the lumbar support clockwise decreases lower back support. Turning the suspension damping lever down increases the stiffness of the suspension. Inspect the seat and shoulder belt. Fasten and adjust the seat belt. Now, let's take a look at the control panel and various gauges, levers, and switches on the left side of the steering column. On the far left side is the panel light switch. Depress the top of the switch to increase the intensity of panel lights. The headlamp switch turns on the lights, mounted in the front bumper and on the front railings. The hazard switch allows the operator to turn on the flashing hazard signals. The automatic retarder control is an on-off switch that allows the machine to maintain a constant speed on a downhill grade in the on position. If equipped, the engine brake switch is an on-off switch that automatically provides engine compression braking on a downhill grade in the on position. Use the telescopic tilt steering column adjustment lever to adjust the column to the most comfortable position. And much like on an automobile, The intermittent wiper, washer, turn signal control, and dimmer switch are all located on this lever. The mounted electric horn is on the steering wheel. The cigar lighter receives a 12-volt power supply. To the right of the instrument cluster are several rocker switches. The rocker switches control the following parameters. If equipped, and when the front brake on-off switch is depressed, the front brakes will not engage when the operator uses the service brake pedal. Use the traction control system test switch, if equipped, when turning in a tight circle with the engine at low idle and the transmission in first gear. The parking brakes will engage and release repeatedly. Push the brake release secondary steering switch and hold in to manually activate the brake release and secondary steering pump. This switch can act as a throttle backup if the accelerator pedal sensor fails, or as a cruise control to maintain engine speed without depressing the accelerator pedal. Push the top of the mirror defogger switch to apply heat to the exterior mirrors if equipped. Push in the top of the air conditioning switch to turn on the air conditioning system. Several controls perform the function described in their names: the on-off key switch, the variable temperature knob, and the fan speed switch. The console to the right of the operator's seat contains the transmission shift lever and the body hoist lever. The transmission has 7 forward speeds and 1 reverse. The shift lever lock button must be pushed in before the shift lever can be moved from P, park, R, reverse, or D, drive, to N, neutral. The parking brake engages when the shift lever is in the P, park position. Placing the shift lever in the 1 or first gear position will engage only that gear and will not allow automatic upshift or downshift. Placing the transmission in the second position, the transmission will only shift between first and second gear. This feature allows you to hold the lower gears when operating in poor underfooting or traveling up steep grades. Placing the shift lever in the D, drive position, will enable upshift and downshift between first gear and any selected gear higher than second. The top button on the transmission control lever will shift the top gear selection from third gear through seventh gear. The bottom button on the transmission control lever will downshift the top gear selection to the next lower gear through third gear. The selected top gear and the actual gear will be displayed on the messenger display. The hoist system is electronically controlled. The hoist control lever activates 4 of the 5 positions of the hoist control valve. The 4 positions are raise, to raise the body; hold, to hold the body in place; float, to allow the body to float so vibrations from the haul road do not damage the body or frame; and lower, to lower the body to the resting position. The 5th position of the hoist valve is called the snub position. When the body is lowered just before the body contacts the frame, the body float speed is reduced to prevent hard contact of the body with the frame. The operator does not have control over the snub position. The truck should normally be operated with the hoist lever in the float position. Traveling with the hoist in the float position will make sure the weight of the body is on the frame and body pads, and not on the hoist cylinders. If the transmission is in reverse when the body is being raised, the hoist lever sensor is used to shift the transmission to neutral. The transmission will remain in neutral until the hoist lever is moved into the hold or float position and the shift lever has been cycled into and out of neutral. If the truck is started with the body raised and the hoist lever in float, the lever must be moved into hold and then float before the body will lower. The accelerator pedal controls the fuel flow to the engine. As the accelerator pedal is depressed, the engine RPM will increase. Use the manual retarder control in order to slow the machine. When under 5 miles per hour, depress the service brake control pedal in order to stop the machine. The secondary brake pedal is used to apply the parking brakes to the rear wheels and the service brakes on the front wheels. The retarding lever is located on the steering column. The operator-controlled retarding lever allows the operator to manually regulate the machine speed when traveling down a grade. The automatic retarder control, ARC, automatically applies brake pressure to match ground speed without intervention of the operator. The advantage of ARC is the truck automatically senses ground speed and applies the necessary brake pressure to control truck speeds. This feature eliminates the operator from over-applying or under-applying brake pressure. The fuse panel provides a 12-volt power supply and a diagnostic port for product link. Automotive-style fuses have replaced the previous screw-in type fuses. 18 dash indicators, 5 analog gauges, and 2 digital displays are visible in the center instrument cluster. The 5 parameters monitored by the analog gauges are brake oil temperature, lower left; engine coolant temperature, upper left; engine speed, center; torque converter oil temperature, upper right; and fuel level, lower right. The balance of the other indicators provide machine information to the operator. The 770 and 772 come standard with CAT Messenger. The Messenger system uses an LCD screen to display graphic and text information. For more details, refer to the CAT Messenger portion of the OMM. After completing a walk-around inspection and learning the controls, you're now ready to operate the machine. Starting the machine is a 5-step process. Move the transmission control to the park position. The dump body should be down and the hoist control should be in the float position. Make sure that no one is on, underneath, or around the machine, and all personnel are clear of the area. Sound the horn. And turn the engine start switch to the on position. After the engine pre-lube system has cycled, the monitoring system will perform a self-test. Take action on any events that are displayed. Anytime you put the truck in gear for the first time or change directions, the truck must be stopped with the engine at low idle. After moving the shift lever, do not accelerate until you hear or feel the transmission clutches engage. Reduce engine speed when you're maneuvering in tight quarters or when you're driving over a rise. When you move the transmission control lever from neutral to any forward speed, first gear is engaged while the transmission automatically upshifts. As the engine speed slows and the ground speed decreases, the transmission automatically downshifts. The transmission will not shift until the proper ground speed is achieved. You cannot force the transmission to shift by moving the transmission control lever. The transmission will not shift to a gear above the selected top gear limit. The machine comes from the factory with the highest gear, 7th, as the top gear limit. Maintain a safe distance from the machine in front of your machine. Avoid hitting sharp rocks and overflow. Use the service brake pedal to stop the machine. You should stay in the cab while the truck is being loaded. Move the transmission control to the park position. Keep the hoist control in the float position while loading and traveling. Do not load material onto the canopy, because it can exceed the hoist capacity and cause machine damage. Do not put the machine in gear until the last load has been completed. During normal operation, use the service brake for all normal braking. Icy, snowy, or wet roads can be slick. Reduce the speed of the machine in order to compensate for poor ground conditions. Select the desired gear before you start the downgrade. The actual gear of the transmission should also match the selected gear before you start the downgrade. Selection of the proper gear is essential for effective operation of the retarder system. Refer to the retarding performance charts in order to select the proper gear for the grade and grade length. If the brake oil temperature gauge enters the red range, reduce the travel speed or stop the machine until the oil cools. This will prevent damage to the brake components. You should discontinue use of the service brake pedal, select a lower gear, and use the manual retarder or automatic retarder control. Engine speed must be at least 1700 RPM in order to circulate sufficient brake cooling through the oil cooler. By using the retarder and proper gear selection, you can maintain grade speeds while maintaining engine RPM and brake cooling. Never coast down a grade in neutral. Use care when backing into the dump area. Stay clear of soft edges that could collapse under the machine. If dumping is attempted on a slope, the machine can tip over, causing personal injury or death. Do not use the momentum of the moving truck to assist in dumping an improperly loaded truck. This can result in major structural and hydraulic system damage. Make sure the machine is at the proper location to dump. Then move the transmission control to the park position and move the hoist control to the raise position. Be certain that no personnel are near the dumping area. If the transmission control is not in the park position, or if the service brake is not applied, the machine may roll backward. When bringing the machine to a stop, do so on level ground. Release the accelerator pedal and depress the service brake control pedal. Move the transmission control to the park position. This will engage the parking brake. Turn the engine start switch key to the off position to stop the engine. If you turn the engine off immediately, after it has been working under load, it can result in overheating and accelerated wear of the engine components. If the engine has been operating at high RPMs and/or high loads, run at low idle for at least 3 minutes to reduce and stabilize internal engine temperature before stopping the engine. Avoiding hot engine shutdowns will maximize turbocharger shaft and bearing life. While the machine is parked, chalk the wheels. Never turn the battery disconnect switch key to off with the engine running. Electrical system damage could result. Now, you can turn the battery disconnect switch to the off position. This Operator Tips video is only a cursory guide for operating the new 770 and 772. It is extremely important that you fully review the operation and maintenance manual to better understand all aspects of safely operating your new Caterpillar off-highway trucks.